Alamu, who's standing by for us. Lopang, what are the findings of the report?
Well, indeed, a very interesting report here today. We understand that despite the fact that race-related complaints have decreased from 505 in the 2015-2016 financial year to 486 in the 2016-2017 financial year, rather, the number remains relatively high. And to talk to us a little bit more about that is the chairperson of the commission, Bongani Majola. Chairperson, thank you so much for your time. What is the commission doing to ensure that human rights, equality is, a lot of people have been reached to teach them about what not to do to violate other people's human rights?
Well, thank you very much for having me on your program. There is a lot of work that the Human Rights Commission has done or is continuing to do with regard to human rights in general, but particularly with regard to issues of equality. With regard to civil and political rights, where you seem to be touching upon, we have done advocacy work in various provinces. Each of our provinces has got an advocacy officer, and we go around and we speak to communities to teach them about the issues of equality. But where violations have been done, you will recall that the Commission has not hesitated, but sprang to action, took people to the Equality Court, called them here, mediated between those who violate their rights and those who are victims of those. We've been on social media. We've issued statements condemning racism in particular. We've done quite a lot of work. I think that inequality as a concept is a very big area because it also affects access to economic, social and cultural rights. And that is where we think that a lot of work still needs to happen, but we are monitoring what is happening. We are using Section 184.3, for example, of the Constitution to try and find out from government what steps they have taken in order to achieve a progressive realization of those rights, access to health care, access to housing, to water, and so on. What one can say is that, in general, the Commission has done so much work that I think that by now a lot more people are aware of the Commission. We get more cases coming to the Commission. We hear a lot of people talking about the Commission, even amongst themselves, which is a very good sign. But the road ahead, as the President said on Friday, is still long to achieve the ideal situation where there is an automatic culture of human rights. And we need to continue with what we are doing, working together with government, with civil society, with business, because there's a lot of also inequality that happens in the sphere of government and human rights. And we need to work with government and human rights to try and raise awareness, first of all. Secondly, to demonstrate to each and everyone that we are obliged now by the Constitution to treat each and every person on the basis of equality. The fact that a person is disabled doesn't mean, therefore, that they do not have a school where they could go. The fact that a person is having albinism doesn't mean, therefore, that they have to be a laughing stock. The fact that a person has got a different social orientation than us doesn't mean, therefore, that the person must be persecuted and so on. We need to hammer those messages in whatever we are doing, in whatever we are saying.
I mean, Chairperson, another big concern is the fact that despite 90% of the complaints being resolved, there's still a high number of individuals and corporations that don't comply with the recommendations. I mean, also, there's still a long way to go, as you've mentioned. The fact that despite very big examples like Vicky Momberg. We had people like Kesine who called the president using the K-word, Adam Katzavelos who also used the K-word in a video describing the fact that he's in a place where there aren't black people, basically. So what sanctions or what sort of remedial action does the Commission have to ensure that they force people to actually oblige to these recommendations?
Well, the remedial action that we have adopted in the past has been two-pronged. One has been to take people to the Equality Court or to get them here ourselves and impose a sanction on them and ask them to comply with, and in most cases they have complied with them. Or take them to the Equality Court, as I've said, where the sanctions are imposed on them. But, you know, the media is actually a very big sanction where a person is reported to the public at large to be embarking on conduct that is antisocial. You know, so that everybody knows, and we shame the person for doing that, but using that opportunity, we also teach others who are potential violators that this is what is going to happen to you if you call others bad names. We condemn you know, the utterances that you have just referred to, including Katzavelos, in the strongest possible terms. We take action where it is possible to take actions. We don't know whether Katzavelos, for example, has come back. The other person in Durban who called our president the K word. The criminal sanction is, the criminal process is going on, and we would like to allow that. But we certainly have shown as the Commission that we are not going to tolerate anything that is racist. We'll always react to it. And we think that by doing so, many, many more people are going to learn that this is not right.
Well, thank you for your time. That was the chairperson of the South African Human Rights Commission, Mr. Bongani Majola. Also very interesting in the report is the fact that Gauteng and Cape Town remains the busiest of offices in the country, of all the provinces. Of course, we saw a high number of the racist complaints that were laid at those offices. Also, very interesting, the grade 10 and 11 syllabuses in all the schools in the country will now have a very crucial subjects on human rights to ensure that the reach is much more bigger. The Human Rights Commission saying that they've done a great job, rather, in trying to reach more people, because a lot of people still don't know much about the Human Rights Commission. They do not know what to do in order for them to lay complaints. And we also understand that 83,000 people have been reached in the last year. So that's quite a big number. But of course, more can be done to actually get more people to come to the Human Rights Complaints Commission. Also to talk about what is it that frustrates them the most. Well, those are the key highlights of the report here today. Nampu, it's back to you in studio.
Lopang. Families of the life